It's really good to see you again, James. And thank you so much for making a bit of time out in your busy week. So today's conversation is really midway through the year, through the cycle, a bit of reflection on how things are going generally, but also then a bit of time looking at your goals and your targets and finding out how you've been getting on with them. Is that okay?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
Fab. Well,
fantastic.
let's just start in the round, thinking about like your teaching practice and your general practice in these last 6 months or so. What are you happy with? What's been going well this last little while?
I've really worked hard at my questioning within the classroom and trying to provide questions that are open-ended and allow the my pupils to try and embrace a concept or an idea without me telling them what to do. And I've been trying to do that more often than not, both in my PE and in my classroom lessons, and that's been really fruitful. We've had some really good discussions that I've been able to watch as opposed to try and facilitate as opposed to try and lead, which has been really good.
And as I'm guessing, right, but has is the influence of that because of your coach training that you want to
Yeah,
get
it's
more
been
questions
yeah,
in?
absolutely. So the skills that I've been able to use have been the listening skills and the deep questioning, and allowing myself to step back, um, and and not push myself to get them to where I want them to get to, but allow them to explore the topic or the question in such a way that actually it ends up with a lot more depth
Mm.
in their answers.
And their response, I mean, so you see depth. Do they like it? Do they push back on it? Do you think the
Yeah,
students?
I think they like the space to reflect, and it brings out those children within the class who aren't necessarily the extroverts, the ones that
Yeah,
don't put their hands up straight away,
yeah, yeah.
but actually it gives space for other kids who are actually the ones who like to think more and that take time to think about an answer.
Yeah.
And that's drawn them out of their shell, which has been really encouraging.
Yeah, that sounds pleasing. And do you like it? Do you like this approach? You enjoying it?
Yeah, I love it because it means that I'm not working hard.
Yes.
That sounds weird, but it means that I am more relaxed in the classroom. I'm not stressed about where I want to get to, um, and I enjoy exploring their thinking within about a particular topic within the classroom, and their feedback is that they enjoy that relaxed, peaceful atmosphere.
And pedagogically, do they still get to the type of endpoint you need them to get to by the end of a
Yeah,
lesson or
absolutely.
a curriculum
Yeah,
topic?
yeah, because you've still got your lesson objectives you want to get to,
Yeah.
but the route of where you're getting to is um, rather than going, you need to go through this door to get to this room.
Yes.
There are seven doors, and they choose whichever door they want to go through. They're still going into the same room,
Yeah.
but the choice of door that they're using is means that they're not pigeonholed into, oh, I've got to think this way, I've got to think that way.
Okay. So passing over the thinking baton over to them.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, all right, so that's a big one. And also, it was one of your targets as well. What else? What else are you happy with? What else is going well for you in the classroom?
I've worked hard at staying in the staff room because that was one of the other targets. Was it's very easy sometimes, particularly to be busy and be doing things during break time or
Yeah,
lunchtime, and therefore not joining the conversation or not sit down with your colleagues. So I've worked really hard to make sure I'm in the staff room,
yeah.
um, maybe eating in the staff room and having conversations and being available to have a chat.
Mm, mm. What's that like?
It's good. Like again, I get to practice my coaching skills in that where I'm listening and asking questions and just finding out how people are. Um, and I tend to pick up if people are having a bad day anyway, so that allows me to be encouraging and empathetic in those and compassionate in those situations.
So a bit of stealth coaching in the staff room going on.
It is not that anybody knows.
Brilliant. And are people noticing? Are you getting a bit of, oh, James, you're here again type of thing, or not really?
Yeah, it's been nice, particularly at lunchtime where there's been some of the TAs or other staff have been in the staff room meeting at lunchtime, and that's actually brought about the the greater depth of conversation when there's 3 or 4 of us sitting around the table, and that's been nice.
Yes. Fab. And what are you getting out of it, working this way?
I'm learning more about my colleagues, and it's enabling me to be kind to myself in the
Yes.
same way, because actually the choice to engage with other people and hear about their story and what's going on with them means that I am not working during my break times,
Yes.
which is actually a good thing for me because
Yeah.
that's what I can do.
Okay. So a bit of a win-win then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fab. I'm really pleased to hear that, Fab. Yeah, because you talked about it with quite a lot of passion last time, I think, when we met.
Yeah. There always needs to be somebody, if you're having a bad day, to bump into somebody and say, "Oh, you're doing okay."
Yeah.
And even just to say, "Oh, you're doing okay," is often quite a big, it's a big win. It's not really a big win, but it's people appreciate it.
Yeah.
When you're surrounded by so many kids who are, you're trying to get to a certain place.
Yeah. And you may be the only person in the day, right, who's checking in on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our school, I think it's that's less likely,
Yes.
but yes, that's true.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. Fab. Thank you for that. Anything else? Anything else that you're really happy with going well with your practice?
I have been working through a plan for my marking too. That was the other target, and putting together some work where it makes the marking easier and is slightly different. We've gone to devices this year, and so marking can look a bit different.
Mm.
One of the parts that I've really enjoyed, particularly in my PSHE lessons, has been an app that allows people to write down how they're doing, how they're feeling. So immediately there's like a smiley face or a not smiley face and a word that they can use. But I've used that to be able to be able to jump in and be able to ask questions as to where the kids are at. As if they said, "Oh, I'm really tired," it gives me an opportunity to say, "Oh, what's going on? How come you're tired today?" And then it will also mean that I can transfer some of my quizzes online, which means that that's an easier marking system. I get that immediately straight back. And then I've just enjoyed asking simple questions in the mark book about how they're doing. What do you like about the work that we've done? And then starting a conversation within that in that book.
So what, like a written dialogue between you and
Yeah,
students?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Which
and
is something I
feedback
used to do.
and feedback from the students, how are they finding it?
They really enjoyed that because it gives them a chance to say, "I don't like that homework," or "I don't like that work that we did today because," and again, it also from a teaching point of view, it encourages them to develop that skill of reasoning. You're asking them to say, "Okay, so what went on? What do you think about this work?" And for them and to encourage them to use the word "because,"
Yeah.
and so to unpack that reasoning, which is really helpful for them in other areas of the lesson.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. And so, I mean, you have talked about generally about what's going well in relation to your targets, but let me just check in. Is there anything apart from those target-driven things that you're happy with that you see progress with in the
I
last six
think
months?
I'm just a bit more relaxed at school, which has been good, and it's always interesting. You get through the term and you're trying to reflect on how the term's been.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good, and I feel like I am in a positive place, which is great.
And is that like something you've worked on? Is that something that you're just noticing?
I think that because I'm spending more time, I'm spending more time engaging with the kids in the classroom in a way that's easier,
Mm.
and following them in the way that they are, in the way that I've been asking questions and developing that style in the classroom. The um, the speed of my lesson, is that right? It's been much more comfortable. It's not been. I'm trying to. It's not. I'm trying to think of a word to describe it, but um, it's been more manageable. It's been enjoyable, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I'm looking at. Yeah,
Yes.
and that's impacted the my attitude of going to work, and and walking around school, and that's been much more positive.
Isn't that interesting? Like a change in practice can influence, how you think and how you feel about things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that, and we will come back to those particular targets you had in a moment. What about any areas you think still areas of development, areas that you're not quite happy with, the bits you may still carry on worrying about?
I am. I'm doing at the moment. I'm coaching a couple of children, a couple of students here. They're year 7
Mm.
and year 8, and um, learning how to be effective in 25 minutes with a 20 minutes with a child is something that I'm trying to hone my skills on. It's different from coaching an adult to a child.
Yeah.
And so that's been something that I'm working hard to improve on and become better at,
Mm.
in those one-to-one situations. And just yeah, looking to see one of the areas I'd love to work on is how I can enable the staff around me through my coaching to be to experience the same kind of wins that I'm experiencing,
Yes.
whether that be in their teaching style, or whether it's just in their work life balance, or whatever's going on for them in that moment.
Is that something you started doing, but you haven't made much progress with it, or?
No, I have I have been coaching a few, but it's a case of um, it's more of a trickle than it is of a flow. And actually, once somebody's been coached and they see the impact that has on their day-to-day life, whether it be on their decision making, whether it be on their um, self-esteem, or whether it be in their style of teaching, or dealing with conflicts, once that's starting to take place, then there's the greater the value of the coaching. And that's that having only done a few people at school, that is still trickling down in terms of, oh, this is really good and we need to get somebody else to do that.
Okay. So the even better if for you there is not about how you're doing it, it's about how many opportunities you have.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, great. So an internal marketing
it
problem.
is.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so you mentioned two, but both are at the classroom, aren't they? So one working with colleagues, one
Yeah.
working with students. Anything within the classroom that's still on your even better if list?
um I think that finishing yeah, probably I tend to I'm at the moment I'm using a way of using rock paper scissors as a way of summarizing a particular bit of work that we've done. So I get my kids to do rock paper scissors with their partner. Whoever wins gets to ask the question, and then whoever loses therefore has to answer the question. And that works really well. And one of the things I want to develop more of are games like that are fun, that engage in the learning in a way that they don't necessarily realize they're learning.
Yeah.
But again, it's looking at the skills of listening and questioning. So I think one of the things I would like to do is I was thinking the other day of maybe buying some dice, and using dice instead of rock paper scissors. So you have a dice,
Yeah.
or the one person, or maybe you have half the class have dice, and they roll the dice to play, and one of them is even, one of them is odd, and then you have a different way of that. So games like that
Yeah.
that help develop those skills, but at the same time engage in the content.
Okay, so that type of Kagan rally coaching, cooperative learning type of having them doing lots more work in pairs, but in
Yeah,
a more creative way.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all of that, and it's really interesting to see like your growth and development. That it seems to be, it's lots about a coaching style, but it's also about, I suppose, I might call it like an enabling style, isn't it? You're trying to enable whether it's students or colleagues within that fab. So you've already talked a bit about your targets. You've talked about those three targets of using coaching style of questions and working on your marking and feedback, and also working on the nurture of the support of your with your colleagues, staff room, and so on. halfway through this cycle now, have you got as far as you would like to get? And are there any changes you need to make in order to carry on with this to complete the cycle?
I think the targets I do, I'm enjoying the targets I'm doing. The coaching one, the next challenge of that is developing a scheme of work to do with year seven
Hmm.
and what that looks like. There's an opportunity to do a 3 hour, right, 3 sessions potentially. So that's the target I need to do to put that together and present that. And that takes place next term. So that's going to be something I need to work on. Um, the marking element that will continue, and so will the other one. So I think for me the step that I need to make next is moving from the coaching skills within my lesson, which aren't content on based on the coaching, but actually looking at, okay, so here we are. How do we coach boys in terms of each other, and then over a period of 3 hours or three sessions.
Okay, okay. So there's a bit of a mini teach within that using those
Yeah,
coaching skills.
yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So if we take all three of those in the round and we go right to the end of the cycle, and we'll have our final review, what would success look like? Like, what do you want to be saying at the end? This is where I've got to.
I think success would be having a greater relationship with my colleagues,
Mm,
and an understanding of yeah, just a great understanding of what's going on for them and the stuff that's going on for them and being supportive of them. In terms of my marking and feedback, that's taken them to a place where that's upskilled them. They've become much better at being able to reason why something is good and why something isn't, or be able to ask a question in a way that again allows them to reason,
yeah.
provide understanding of that. That's and then that's a transferable skill into other subjects,
Mm.
which will be really good. And in terms of my coaching, success for that will be more staff I've coached over the year, and people have enjoyed it.
There's always a bonus, isn't it? There's always a thing we want. Yeah, fab,
And
fab.
I guess also for the kids too, the kids that the pupils that I'm coaching as well, that they also have been impacted positively as a result of the coaching, and it's taken them to a place that's equipped them for the next stage ahead.
Okay, okay. So there's something about feedback and surveys and understanding and seeing all the impact and stuff. How much are you tracking all this? Like whether you're tracking it in your head or keeping notes, how much are you tracking progress?
Um, I'm the marking is being tracked through my marking and
Yeah.
my book, so that happens actually anyway. In terms of the coaching, I track that through notes,
Mm.
um, and that's really helpful to reflect back on before I go to the next session with an individual.
Mm.
Um, Staff room is a bit more tricky, but then it's a case of just if somebody's having a hard time, it's just following up that within the week or the next week to see how they're getting on.
Yes.
So that's more in my head.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You can, and you can't be like, oh, well, I failed this week because no one was having a hard time in the staff room. Oh, what a disappointment.
No, that's right. That's right.
All right. So, do you need to make any changes? Like what you've put in place and all the things you're doing and the things you're going to carry on doing to the end of the cycle, is it carrying on as you're doing as well as that scheme work thing you're going to introduce, or are there any changes needed?
I think changes. I think for me, I need to be aware of being kind to myself at break time and lunchtime. That for me is it's not necessarily a change, but it's an awareness that I can easily drop back into that. Oh, I need to get this done now. I haven't, and maybe there's a deeper question there about, well, why is it that at those times you've had to go and do work? Why have you chosen when was the opportunity to do it that you didn't take before?
Yeah.
So that might be an interesting pursuit. Um, yeah, That's taking me completely somewhere else. You have to
All right.
consider.
Well, we'll just say it's fine. It's fine. We're here, aren't we? So just say a bit about that. Where's it taking
Well,
you?
it's interesting because as we were speaking about that, and it's taken me to a place of, actually, what decisions am I making outside of the classroom, outside of school, or maybe during the school day? That's leading me away from either it's either that it's causing me not to get things done because I'm having conversations.
Yeah.
Um, so if I'm having it on the one hand, if I'm at someone in the corridor, I'm having a conversation, I'm end up having a conversation for 20 minutes,
Yes.
then it leaves me then I've lost time to do something that I was preparing for. And is that something I can do the week before? Is it something I've got can do getting there in the morning, early in the morning? Is it something? No, what could I? So maybe that's something I need to think about. Is how does my use of time throughout the week
Mm.
influence my ability to do these targets moving forward?
Okay. So there's something about thinking about your self-management and tracking and
Yeah.
observing yourself. Is that something without wanting to take more targets out of today's conversation, but is that something that will be beneficial for you?
Yes, I think one of the targets for adding that would be a target to go and reflect on my the reflect on the value of time
Mm.
versus the value of James. Um, because James, I need time. I need time to engage with. I want to engage with the people in my staff and the staff around me, and I
Yeah.
want to take a break during the day.
Yeah.
But if I'm not valuing time elsewhere to do those jobs that I need to get done to prepare me to have those spaces,
Mm.
then that's something I need to look at.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think that makes
So,
sense.
fab. And well, does it make sense to you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the wording value of time versus value of James. Um, the question I need to ask is how much value do I place on looking after myself versus um, the need to get the job done,
Mhm.
and the follow on from that would be um, and looking after myself should therefore be I need to have ironed out time where my preparation is not during break time and lunch. So yeah, yeah. So that's better. It's the looking after. It's the word value is the value of James is the thing I need to think about.
Okay. Okay.
That went somewhere I wasn't expecting.
Uh, and well, thank you, and thank you for doing a bit of work there yourself, and carry on reflecting on that. Is that something you're now?
I journal, so I'll go and I'll take it to my Wednesday night journal at Starbucks, and I will look at the word value and in relation to myself at my work
I'm loving the fact that you have an appointment with yourself at Starbucks to be able to go and do that.
every
So,
Wednesday.
well, and how good is that? So long as no one comes up to you in Starbucks and saying, James, let me talk to you. How are you feeling? Can I check in with you? No, no, I've got my journal to commune with.
Yeah, so true.
So, let's bring today's conversation to an end. Does it feel like a good place to start tying this up together?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it was really helpful.
Good, good. Well, to you have your targets, you're carrying on working on them, you've seen some growth, but also some slight changes you want to make, and you've also got these extra things bubbling away in the background, like more coaching of colleagues and coaching students, and maybe more of some of um, these pairs type of activities that you want to work on. What's your learning about yourself as a practitioner from having this conversation today?
That I value. There's a balance between the desire to be good at my job, and that involves being, I guess, being compassionate and looking out for the staff and kids' well-being around where I am.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've got to be aware of myself,
Yes.
and it's very easy to look out for other people. But I need to make sure I'm not running on empty, because I can't give anything if I'm running on empty.
Yeah, so that taking care of yourself as well, that's really important, Fab. Well, I mean, as you know, I'm not your line manager today. I really wish I were, because I'd now be the moment that I could really share some appreciation of your commitment and your care to students, to colleagues, to coaching, to the whole school environment, but also to yourself. I mean, the way you're talking about it really shows that. I mean, I'm not there to observe, but you know, your passion for it really does bounce through the screen. It really shines through. So thank you so much. What are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to in the second half of this cycle this year?
I am looking forward to I'm looking forward to the relationships with the students, with the pupils. They, the getting to know them. Some of the year groups I haven't taught before, and the relationships I'm building up now will start to generate even greater depth in conversation over the year. I am looking forward to being part of coaching sessions with other staff and seeing them thrive as a result of those. Yeah, those kind of things.
Thank you. Well, James, thank you so much. Thank you for getting stuck in, and you know, we'll carry on having conversations about this informally, but then like a big one at the end of the cycle. Have a great day, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right, bye now.